I'm Christy Bryant. I am the team leader for the Best of Austin Living team. We have a couple of our agents on here as well, Sarah and Hannah. They can answer questions as we go through as well. And there are supposed to be quite a few other people who are buyers, so hopefully they'll be able to join us. So we're going to go through the full home buying process. As we go through, if you have questions, please ask. Eric had said he had trouble with his mic, so if you put him into the chat, that will be fine as well. And I'll do my best to look at the chat periodically. So here we go with our presentation for today. Let me just start this. Can y'all see the presentation? Great. So meeting the team, and actually I did not want to put it in this particular format. We don't need music while I'm talking. Sorry about that. Let's see here. So I would just like to, there we go. So this is our team. We have six agents on our team. Isn't that funny? Sarah did that the other day. So home buying in Austin, one of the biggest things to understand about the market in Austin right now is that we have high inventory. What does high inventory mean? That means that there are a lot of homes on the market. We have more homes on the market than we have had in years in Austin. And what does that mean for a buyer? For a buyer, that means you have lots of options, lots of homes to look at, lots of homes to choose from. So sellers in this market need to make sure that they are priced competitively and that the homes are move-in ready. It is a rare buyer these days who is actively looking for a property to fix up. There are flippers, there are developers, but when you're looking for your homestead or you're looking for an investment property that you're planning to rent out immediately, generally buyers are looking for a move-in ready home, something that doesn't need to be worked on. Because if you just walk out of the house that you're in that needs a lot of work and you walk down the street, most likely there is another home for sale. So it is a really, really great time for buyers in Austin. Interest rates are just below 6%. Actually, today I was just looking, I think they've gone just a little bit above 6, but these are the lowest interest rates that we've had in several years. So if you've been thinking about buying and you've been waiting for interest rates to go down, chances are they're probably not going to go down much further than where they're at, but it is nice that we're not in the sevens or eights anymore. Free money that we had during COVID, I don't think that that's going to be happening again. That was a one time in history kind of situation. So interest rates are very favorable right now. And again, if you have questions as we're going through, please let me know. The importance of pre-approval. It is very important, and we'll go through the full home buying process. But one of the first things that you need to do is get approved with a lender. We have lots of lenders that we work with that we're happy to put you in touch with. There is a difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. And then working with somebody who knows the local market is really important. Truly, when you're looking at different neighborhoods, understanding the amenities, understanding the schools, it's important to work with somebody who knows the area well. Looking specifically at the real estate market today in Austin. So this is the city of Austin. If we were to take a bigger look at the area around the Metroplex, the numbers would be different, but looking at the city of Austin. The median sales price, and this is looking at January numbers, we get the numbers for the previous month about mid-month. So for in March, it'll still be a couple, well, at least a week before we get the numbers for February. And just a little side note, there was an article in The Statesman about 2 weeks ago that had doom and gloom about the Austin real estate market, and that was based upon December numbers. We have actually had a very significant uptick. It was mostly because of the weather and interest rates over the last 6 weeks. So things are really positive in the Austin real estate market today. There's a lot of movement. A lot of homes are selling that have been on the market for a while. So let's talk about some of the specifics. And again, if you have any questions about what I'm saying, if I say a word that's not familiar to you, please unmute yourself and ask me. I would appreciate it. There's no silly question. So median sales price. This is the median price. So if you take the cheapest house all the way to the most expensive house and you take it against the number of homes that were sold, the median sales price in the city of Austin is $522,500. And that what's important about this is that this is 5% down year over year. So from last year, what does this mean? That homes have become more affordable in Austin over this past year, which is better for buyers. Closed sales in the month of December, we had 509 homes close, which was down almost 9% from this time last year, December to December. So that means less homes sold in December 2025 than they did in December 2024. And that is absolutely on mark with 2025 was a very slow year for real estate in Austin. The next number I'm going to look at is months of inventory. So months of inventory is at 3.9 months. What does that mean? That means if no additional homes came on the market, there were no new listings, no new homes came on the market from today, it would take 3.9 months for all the homes that are on the market to sell. Usually, so the standard definition of a balanced market, a balanced real estate market is 6 months. At 6 months inventory, that means that it is even between buyers and sellers. And if it goes above 6 months, it's better for buyers. If it's less than 6 months, generally it's better for sellers. I will tell you this, and the agents on this presentation will tell you, this is a buyer's market. It does not matter that it's less than 6%. This is absolutely 100% a buyer's market in Austin. Sellers are having to reduce their price. Let's come down here and look at this at the bottom of the screen on the right, average close to list price. This means from the original list price that a property was listed at to the closed price that it closes at, there is about a 9% reduction in the price. And this tracks. This is what we're experiencing. So even though there's been an adjustment over the last year, a lot of sellers are still pricing their homes higher than what the sold comps are. And so they're having to adjust their prices in order to get sold. So it absolutely tracks that this is a buyer's market. And we're seeing that with the average closed to list price. Uh, all I really want to say about listings is that we have more listings on the market than we've had in years. So the active listings for Austin, the city of Austin, again, this is a city of Austin snapshot, is just over 3,000 homes, active listings. If you were to look over the whole Metroplex, it's about 13,000 homes. That is more homes on the market than we've had in years. That is good for buyers. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about is average days on market. The average days means once a property has gone under contract, how many days does it take to get it under contract? The number one question we are asked by buyers if a home has been on the market for more than 30 days generally is, what's wrong with it? Why is it still sitting on the market? What's wrong with it? Probably nothing's wrong with it. Most likely it was priced too high and it's still sitting there because the sellers haven't adjusted their price. So that is the number one thing that will keep a house on the market right now. It is not unusual to have homes on the market 90 days, 180 days. We know of homes that have been on the market for a year. That is not unusual in the Austin market. It's completely different than it used to be just a couple years ago. A couple years ago, even before a property would go active, there were already offers on it, off MLS offers. This is a different market today. Being on the market for 82 days is not unusual in Austin. But if it's priced right and it is move-in ready, be prepared. There are still some situations in some neighborhoods where there are multiple offers. That is still a possibility. We've experienced that ourselves with our listings. If they're priced right and they look like they're ready to sell, they will. So let's talk about the 20% down myth. Most people believe that they need to have 20% down. If you want to avoid having the additional insurance cost, there is a insurance premium that is charged by lenders if you put less than 20% down. But that does not mean that you have to put 20% down. Many first-time home buyers and buyers in general, depending upon what their finances are, put less than 20% down. Absolutely. There are some programs that are offered with even less than that. There are some county programs that they're through lenders where you would take a workshop and that allows you to get a discount on the amount that you're going to pay down. What a lender is going to tell you that is one of the most important things is that they're going to look at your credit score and they're going to look at your assets, they're going to look at your debt. If you choose a product, a loan product that is less than 20% down, generally, in most cases, the interest rate is going to be higher. So you are going to pay for the convenience of not putting 20% down. And you do have the option of that happening depending upon your credit score. So that's what a lender is going to look at. We have a lot of trusted lenders that we recommend, that we've worked with quite a bit. And one of the biggest things that what I just love is that when you're working with a lender, it is so straightforward what you need to give them in order to even get the ball rolling. It is 2 months of bank statements, a copy of your driver's license, 30 days of pay stubs, and your last 2 W-2s. That is generally the minimum. It's not a lot in order to get qualified. And they'll let you know based upon your debt and your assets and your credit score if you're where you are at, what the monthly amount is, what the total amount of the house is, and what the down payment is that you would be required to put down. It's important to start by talking to an agent and talking to a lender to start your process. In some cases, so if you're a vet, absolutely there are VA loans available. You could put zero down. And we just had a property where we had an assumable loan. The buyers of the property are not vets, but they were able to assume a loan that had a 3.25 loan on it. They were able to assume that interest rate from a VA seller. And you don't have to be a VA buyer in order to assume a VA loan. So that's a possibility as well. We have experience with that. And then USDA loans. These are very specific. There were still some properties not too long ago out in the Bastrop Manor area that still were applicable for USDA loans. And a lender can help identify the areas that that is available in. Okay, let's look at our next. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Let me just stop for a second and see if there are any questions in the chat before we go on. Okay, I don't see any. Feel free to ask me questions though. Really, truly, we want this to be interactive. And if you have questions, we want to answer them for you. Okay, let me go back to my share. So a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is the lowest level that a lender will do with you. It's just pre-qualifying you based upon the conversation with you. A pre-approval is what you need, where they're going to review your assets, or they're going to review your bank statement, your W-2s, your pay stubs, and make sure that you're on the same page. A pre-approval is what you need in order to put an offer in on a property. So when you start working with an agent, and hopefully it's us, we ask, have you gotten your pre-approval with your lender? You want to have that done before you start going and looking at homes. The true cost of buying. So it is important to understand, and a good lender is also going to talk with you about this, that you have the finances in place for a purchase. So one, we already talked about the down payment, but when you go to purchase, you're going to have earnest money that's going to be due once you go under contract. That's generally 1% of the contract price. So that is money that title is going to hold once you go under contract until you're closing, and that 1% is applied to your closing costs. There is an option fee as well. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. Your inspection, you will need to have the property inspected. You'll need to pay for that. That's between $500 and $700. And then any lender closing costs will need to be paid when you close. In addition to that, looking at your monthly payment. So I had just talked about the premium insurance mortgage that you would need if you pay less than 20%. So that is something to consider. Then you have your principal, your interest, the property taxes that are going to be set by the county, and your homeowner's insurance. And then on some properties are going to be in the HOA, and so you're going to have HOA fees. Some condos as well have an HOA fee. So it's important to know those costs. And then some of the other costs that you would have are utility costs. So it's important, and if you're renting right now, you're going to have a good idea of what utility costs are based upon, like, do you like for the house to be at 78 degrees when it's 112 outside? You're going to know, right? Kind of where your costs are for utilities. But that's important for you to factor in when you're budgeting for the cost of purchasing a home. Okay, sorry, I've got a whole bunch of things right in front of my little thing here. Here we go. Okay, so let's talk specifically about the roadmap to purchasing your house. And when you work with us, we go through we have this handy dandy folder that we give you, and we actually have an interview that we go through with you to understand what is it that's important to you for the home. So this is a part of the consultation and strategy to figure out what is it that you're looking for. Also part of this, we have the home buying process. Happy to send a link to this to you after this presentation. So what you're doing when you start your home buying process, first you have your consultation and strategy. We're getting clear on what it is that you're wanting, the timeline, what is your budget. Your financing and pre-approval, that's going to happen with a lender. Sometimes you're pretty early in your stage. Oops, forgive me. Sometimes you're pretty early in your stage, and so you are not going to You're not going to be ready to have the lender pull your credit, but it's still important for you to have that conversation early on with the lender so you can understand if you're prepared or if you need to be saving up some money, if there's something you need to pay off. And then we get a tour homes. That's always the fun part, going and looking at homes. I can guarantee you that what you see on a photograph is not necessarily what you're going to see in person. So there's really two stages of selling, of getting your interest. One is online, looking at those photos, looking at a walkthrough video. Yes, that's exciting, but you need to go see the home in person. I have sold homes sight unseen, but I've also, with those clients, gone through and I've done a walkthrough video for them. It's really important to get a really good understanding of the house and the condition of the house. And again, some of those wide angle camera views look different in person. So now you've identified a house. We use two different scales when we're working with clients, either a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, or A to C and A being the highest, whatever the client is comfortable with. If it's a 8, 9, or 10 or an A, generally our clients are going to put an offer in on that house. And we have gone through, we have a whole list that we're looking at when we're going through the homes with our clients to make sure that it's checking off the needs and wants that they have for this property. And so in making an offer, we would put together the contract for you, representing you as the buyer. And once you would go under contract, that is when the earnest money is due and the option fee. I mentioned I was going to mention a little bit more about the option fee. In today's real estate market in Austin, the option fee is going to be dependent upon the price of the home that you're looking at. In some neighborhoods, buyers are able to put in a $100 option fee for a 7-day option, and it's accepted. Many neighborhoods, the sellers are expecting more in the 250 range, 500. There's still some neighborhoods that they're expecting more than that. A typical option period is 7 days. And what does that mean? During an option period, you have the ability, and we're going to encourage you, none of our clients don't do this. Everybody has the house inspected. You need to pay for that inspection. We are looking for structural things. We're looking for issues with the roof, with the plumbing, with the electrical. We're looking for structural and safety things that are wrong with the house. Things like a screw that is loose, or unfortunately aesthetic things like paint generally are not going to be addressed during that time. The house, other than structural, is going to be as is. So it's important for you to know during that time, does it is the house sound? Is it a house that you're going to move forward with? We have clients who I encourage them not to move forward with the house. We had a stucco inspection because of the way that some of the exterior looked. Had a stucco expert come out. The buyers did pay for that inspection. And after talking with the stucco inspector, they decided that that house was not the house for them. So it is really important during your option period to have the house inspected, and we're going to negotiate on your behalf. Um, During that period, the seller has every right to say no thank you to what you ask. You have every right to ask for what you want to ask that's related back to safety and structural. And then usually there's a meeting somewhere in the middle. The seller can either give you a credit for you to repair the items after closing. What happens with that is that they reduce basically on the contract, the sales price would stay the same, but the amount of closing costs, they're going to add money towards your closing costs, which reduces the amount of money that you need to bring to closing, which then allows you to keep more money on hand. So after closing, you have money to do the repairs. Sometimes we can negotiate for the sellers to do the repairs before closing, or they could reduce the price of the house. So there are many different ways that we can handle negotiating repairs. Once we have gotten through the option period and inspections, the remaining, well, I should mention during the option period, if you decide that the house is not for you, there are too many issues, we are not able to come to an agreement with the seller, you have the right to terminate by 5 p.m. on the last day of your option period. You would receive your earnest money back, and the from the seller, the title company is holding that. I will say that there is a place on that form that the seller has to sign. We've never had an issue with the seller not signing it, but they do also have to agree for you to receive the earnest money back. But they keep the option fee. So that $100, $250, $500 that you paid to have an option period, the seller keeps that if you terminate. And then basically after the option period is over, everything is between you and the lender. Title is going to be sending you documents about the deed on the house, about the HOA restrictions. They're going to be sending you different things. But really, most of the work in a 30-day close, most standard closings are about 30 days. The first week is the inspection period and option period. The remaining 3 weeks is almost all with you and the lender getting everything sorted out, making sure that everything's good there. And then it's closing day. Very exciting. You get the keys. Generally, you would not want to plan on moving in the day of. You would want to wait until the day after to make sure that funding happened that day and that you got your keys. Let me just stop here for a moment. Are there any questions? If you have questions, please unmute yourself or put it into the chat. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Okay, we're going to keep going. So some of the pitfalls to avoid. Um, Please do not purchase a new car while you are in your option period before you're about to purchase your house. That will create a huge problem with you and the lender on your debt to income ratio. So you don't want to make any big purchases before you close. Basically, you have a snapshot in time of your finances, and you don't want that to change until you get through closing. You want to focus on your needs. Your timing is important, but it's really important for you to focus on what is it about the house that you want, especially with so many homes on the market in Austin. You have a lot of choices, a lot of choices. So you want to take your time and make sure that you get the house that is right for you. And then absolutely have to have the house inspected. We would never encourage you to not have a house inspected. It is really, really important to have it inspected. Building your strategy. This is part of what we do with you. We do the strategy and consultation. It is important for you to set your priorities. What is your must have? What is your nice to have? I will tell you that there was a study done, and people who had built their dream homes, they had built their dream homes. Guess what percentage of their dream home actually met their expectation? Anybody have an idea? Did you say 21, Hannah? So it's 80%.
I said lower, unfortunately.
So of the study of people who built their dream home, only 80% of that dream home was actually meeting their expectation. So the reality is, it doesn't matter what home, if you think that absolutely on a piece of paper it checks all your boxes, most likely there are going to be some things that don't meet your expectations. So just set expectations, right? Set your expectations. Be realistic about it. What is it that you're wanting? You probably are not going to get 100% of everything on your list. So what are the things that are really essential? What I will tell you, one of the big things for me that I really talk to clients about is that if you need a single story, get a single story. Don't convince yourself that a two-story is what you need. If you need a single story, there are reasons for that. And then the second piece is if you need a yard for a pet, Absolutely. We need to make sure that you get the yard for the pet. I have had a client who purchased a property and she got tired of having to put the leash on the dog and walk the dog outside. Well, right, that's the property that she bought. So you want to make sure that you absolutely are getting what your must-haves are and then what are your nice to have. Prepare financially. You might be ready right now, but you might be preparing for a property to purchase a year from now, 2 years from now. We're here for you. If you are looking long term, we are absolutely here to help you strategize for the future. The lenders that we work with, they absolutely will work with you for the long term. And then set up customized MLS alerts. We are able to do that with you. So you get it within 15 minutes of it hitting the market on the MLS. Happy to work with you to strategize on that. Let's look at a couple of our success stories. So, happy to work with you to find the perfect home. And again, as I said, right, not all homes are perfect. Whether you're looking for your family home, you're looking for a new build, the one that I just shown before was one the clients bought on the east side. Let me just go back to that. So, this is one that they bought on the east side, definitely a fixer upper. And now they rent it on Airbnb. We've helped with new builds. Happy to help you with new builds. You still need representation with new builds. We are here to help you. This one is in Goodnight Ranch. And we also have vendors that we work with. So if you purchase a house and you need to have it updated, we have vendors that can work with you on that. So what questions do y'all have? Home buying is really a pretty simple process, but it takes some planning and strategizing in order to make it work for you. Happy to answer any questions that y'all have. Sarah and Hannah, do you have any questions that you can ask?
Why is it so important to do a final walkthrough?
Oh gosh, that is important, isn't it, Sarah? So we will do a final walkthrough with you before closing. We did have one particular closing, and I won't say who it was with, who I had walked in onto carpet, new carpet, and I took my shoes off. And guess what? It was squishy. This is the morning of closing. There was a leak. So my client was there and we realized that there was a problem. We got it fixed before closing. They came in and they remediated. They came in and fixed it. It is absolutely important. So we do final walkthroughs to make sure that trees haven't gone through the roof, that there are no leaks, and that there are no squatters. It's important to do a walkthrough.
Or animals.
Or animals.
This this actually just happened to me recently. I was doing some showings for a property for some buyers, and I let the agent know I there might be some some pests, and they said, "Well, when I went there 2 days ago, there wasn't anything there." And then they told me, "Oh, well, we're under contract now," but no one had mentioned that. So in the in a couple of days of that happening, it can happen. So that's, like you said, very essential, important practice that we do.
Yes, it is. So Brenda, Jiyoung, and Eric, do y'all have any questions? You can put it in the chat. Happy to answer it. And we will follow up with you after this. We have a link to our buyer presentation. We'll send that over to you. We can put you in touch with some lenders. But if you let us know, like, what is it that are you thinking of a new build? Are you thinking of a certain part of Austin? That's important information for us and it can help us help you. So we will reach out to you after this. Any last questions? I'm looking in the chat. I don't see anything. But let's see here. How recent should a pre-approval be? So Jiyoung, approvals are generally, well, some are only valid for 30 days. Some are valid for 90 days. So it's going to depend upon the lender that you're working with. Most sellers are going to, well, the listing agents are going to look to see if it's expired. So you want it to be as recent as possible. So if you had started a home search last year and you stopped it, you would need to have an updated pre-approval from the lender. If you're just starting right now, what I would recommend is that you talk to a lender, figure out what your situation is, how much down can you pay, what is your budget, and then they could give you a final pre-approval when you're ready to put an offer in. And most lenders are able to adjust the amount of the pre-approval to match what the offer is that you're making. That way, let's say that you're approved for $500,000, but you're going to put an offer in on a $300,000 house. Strategy wise, we would actually prefer for the letter to state 300,000. That helps with negotiations. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank y'all for joining. We're going to have these sessions once a month. We're happy for you to come back again. Again, we will reach out to the folks that were on here tonight and see if we can help you further outside of the session. And we've got a great team. We would love to help y'all. Thank y'all so much. Take care, everybody.